Yo, what is up guys, Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So Rafael Espinoza defeats Robeisy Ramirez in their rematch by a 6th round TKO. Now going into this fight, I was looking forward to the rematch, considering how good the first fight was. And I said going into this fight that I felt that Espinoza this time around would get the job done quicker. But technically it's a correct prediction, but it's not really, because a fight ending like that you can't really take credit for. Robeisy Ramirez basically just quit in round 6, which was disappointing because I felt the fight was really interesting as it was happening. Really interesting fight. As the fight started, I was really impressed with Robeisy Ramirez, his change in approach. He wasn't holding his feet anywhere near as much as he was first time around. You know, he was boxing out of that southpaw stance, going to his left, circling to the left, and he was boxing out of a crouch, showing a lot of level changes, primarily targeting the body of Rafael Espinoza with the straight left hand, and also the jab, and sometimes he'd come up and go to the head. But, you know, he was making himself a smaller target. Of course, Espinoza is huge. He's a 6'1" featherweight, whereas Ramirez was 5'6", and Ramirez made himself even smaller. And early on, you know, Espinoza found it hard to find the target. He was following Ramirez around, trying to apply pressure. He was always making Ramirez work because he was always trying to get on him. But Ramirez early on was dictating this fight with his side-to-side movement, with the straight left of the body, and also the jab. And the fight followed this pattern certainly for the first 2 rounds, where Ramirez had success with that tactic. Again, boxing, going to his left, fighting out of a crouch, primarily firing the straight left of the body. Sometimes he was mixing it up and firing the right hook around the side of Espinoza's guard. But he was picking his shots, he was being economical. And yeah, Espinoza was trying to pressure. Round 3, it was similar. And, you know, for me, Ramirez definitely won the round. But you could see that in round 3, Espinoza was getting closer. He quickened his feet up a little bit. And because he was moving, because Robeisy Ramirez was moving to his left, he was moving into the right uppercut, or the right hand in general, of Espinoza. And because Espinoza got a little closer to Ramirez, when he threw that right hand, particularly the uppercut, he was getting closer to the target on Ramirez, and he landed some good right hands on Ramirez in the 3rd round. Also some good body shots. It was a very close round. You know, Ramirez is boxing versus the pressure of Espinoza, but Ramirez finished the round strongly when Espinoza opened up. You know, he caught Espinoza with several good straight left counters to the head, and I felt that won the round for Ramirez. So after 3 rounds, I had Ramirez up 3 rounds to 0. But the 3rd round, to me, suggested a change in momentum. This followed suit in rounds 4 and 5. Ramirez was still trying to box off that lateral movement, going to his left, again trying to pick the counters, trying to pick the straight lefts to the body, but I felt he was less effective with it. I felt he was throwing less punches, and Espinoza was able to get closer, started to work the body a bit more, started to put 2 and 3 punches together. You know, nothing crazy, but he was outlanding Ramirez for my money. Ramirez would come back with counters, some good counters, but for me, Ramirez was getting outworked in these rounds. Good competitive rounds, but in my opinion, rounds that Espinoza won. Because ultimately, like I said, all he really did was he quickened up his feet and just started throwing a few more punches. And it was at this point where I felt that, yeah, the second half of this fight will be difficult for Ramirez, because Ramirez doing what he was doing, fighting in his style, fighting with his game plan, I felt that he was having to concentrate so hard, and he was using so much energy with the movement. Whereas, you know, Espinoza was just doing his thing. It didn't look like he got out of second gear. So going into it, I felt the second half would be hard for Ramirez. But unfortunately, we didn't get to the second half of this fight. Round 6 starts. It's like right at the start of round 6. Espinoza comes out. He throws a jab. He then throws like a lead straight right hand. Doesn't look all that powerful. It catches Ramirez on the eye. Ramirez then turns his back and raises his hand in the air as if to say enough. And he quits. The eye started swelling quite rapidly after. I don't know whether it was a broken orbital bone or whatever, but it didn't look like a break to me. It just looked like a bad swell. But what do I know? But just by looking at it in real time, it looks like a bad quit job, I have to be honest. It looks like a bad quit job. We will see if news comes out what happened. You know, Ramirez stated, I think, after the fight that he was just looking out for his health. But yeah, man, I mean, it didn't look like a hard punch. It landed, but really, like, anticlimactic ending to a fight that was, in my opinion, like, interesting. I felt the fight was interesting and pretty watchable. So yeah, disappointing, a disappointing ending, no doubt. But yeah, I mean, Espinoza won. He got the job done, and you know, Espinoza moves on. I mean, what more can I say? You know, what more can I say? As for Espinoza, man, I mean, 6'1" featherweight. I wouldn't mind seeing him in there with the winner of Brandon Figueroa and Stephen Fulton. I think that would be a good fight. Nick Ball versus Espinoza, by the way, would be a fire fight. And as would Espinoza versus Angelo Leo. He's got some very good fights at featherweight, but can he still keep making the weight? That's the issue. If he moves up to super featherweight, there's some decent options there, of course. But yeah, we will see. We will see. But yeah, weird fight, weird ending. Espinoza wins. We shall see what happens next. Share your thoughts below. Been your guy, Del Boy. Peace.